What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Linares.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. Basketball is finally over. My career is over. Let's just start it off with my retirement announcement, I guess. Called it quits, left my shoes at the Paxton League, Paxton High School. So, what are your thoughts on this? What's your first reaction?
Heartbreaking, of course. Your 2-year career as a Range brother has come to an end. Ranger Brothers going to be looking a lot different if we're running it back in the Paxton Men's League next year. We'll see what happens, but I'll be back as long as I have a team. So that's all I'm saying. Who's going to be on that team? TBD. We'll find out, but unfortunately you won't be, but I'm definitely going to miss having you out there, miss the antics, miss the tease, but I think it's for the best for everybody.
It was time. Just time to end my basketball career, focus on my family life, spend more time with the kids.
Yeah. Your investments and, all that. You got a lot going on outside of basketball. It's bigger than basketball.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunate, but whatever. Yeah, rec league season came to an end, so we'll see if there's a next season. We'll updates to follow on that. I'll leave it at that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all the updates on the Range Brothers season so far, or I guess the whole time.
Yeah, it's over now.
Yeah, let us know if it's something you like. We'll bring it back next season if there is a next season. Obviously, it won't be both of us, so maybe me just filling Elijah in on what happened, which could be a different dynamic. So we'll see.
Could be on my Tom Brady. You never know.
You could be. I'll never say never on retirement, especially in something like as simple as the Paxton League, where you can just join back if you want to. Let's stick on basketball talk here. Obviously, NCAA tournament wrapping up almost to the Final Four. It will be the Final Four after tonight. Who's your pick to win it all now?
K-State. I loved K-State. I just want to give my props to them. They've been just a moneymaker ever since I turned 21. They've just been a horse. They've made me a lot of money in my day. So I had them in my Final Four. They were my winner after Alabama was out, but fortunately they lost. So I think it's between UConn and Texas in my mind. I got to give the nod to UConn. They're just different.
I agree. It was going to be pretty crazy no matter who is representing like that top half of the bracket. When it was the Elite Eight, you had Creighton, you had San Diego State. It was just going to be some FAU and Kansas State. It was going to be just some random teams that like you don't think of playing in the national championship. So it's going to be cool to see no matter what happened. Dwindle down a little bit here. FAU in the Final Four is crazy. They looked really good. If they won a championship, that would be crazy. So I'm kind of on their bandwagon that like they could do it. Like they look really good against every team they've played so far.
Yeah, like San Diego State and FAU, like they're technically like lower seeds, but they've lost 9 games all year. So FAU's lost 3 games, San Diego State's lost 6. So that's just crazy there. And they both are like really veteran teams and everything. So they're both just really good teams, honestly. And then with that, just UConn, it just feels like, the cardiac Kemba, Shabazz Napier days where like just nothing is stopping them from winning this title. So obviously they don't have that star guard this year. It's more of the center they have or a collective, but they're a really good team. It just feels like it's their championship to lose.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be UCLA. After somebody's team got bounced, I was like, okay, UCLA has a good chance. I mean, a lot of the 1 seeds were out when UCLA was playing Gonzaga. I was like, okay, they have a good chance here. Obviously, that was before Houston and Alabama had lost, but still, Kansas was out. Whoever the other 1 seed was out too. So I was like, okay, UCLA could do this. They have some vets as well. So tough to see them drop. And then Gonzaga just got destroyed by UConn. So we'll see what happens. But I think I'm going to ride with UConn, but I'm hoping for FAU. FAU would just be a dope moment to see.
Yeah, I feel like any of the teams really, like these aren't your blue blood national powers. So I think like 2 of the coaches had only ever coached in the Elite Eight. So it's been really good year this year for March Madness. Not for my bracket though.
Yeah, definitely not, but good as a fan to watch.
In our family bracket challenge, we're actually 1 and 2 right now. I'm maxed out on points. I can't gain anymore. And then there's a few people behind us. I'm going to get passed up. Jonathan's won though. So there's a chance where he wins his bracket challenge. He had the perfect family bracket,
Yeah. Perfect as in like a fifth of the max points, but hey, we did all right. The other thing I want to touch on last before we move on here, during the FAU game, they gave a nice shout out to Freddie Gibbs. Did you catch that?
No, I was at work, so I was watching like some of it at work. So that was probably
Okay.
the
They were talking
during the.
about like where somebody was from, and they're like, Gary, Indiana, shout out to Freddie Gibbs, like no shout out to Michael Jackson, something like that. I was like, just I love that they gave some love to Freddie Gibbs on national TV. That was fire.
That is fire. I didn't catch that, so that's a W there for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the commentator was, but they get it,
They
which
get it,
I
yeah.
appreciate. All right, let's get into our songs of the week. If you're new here, we each pick 3 songs each week. We want to give a special shout out, talk about a moment that happened this week with the track, or just show it some love. Start us off here with your first track.
I got Mauricio played this other day when we all went to dinner. It's Clueless by Polo G featuring 504 and then Pop Smoke. This is just another instance of just how talented Pop Smoke was and just, I mean, how phenomenal he is in pretty much any situation. So just wanted to give that one a shout out there.
Definitely a fire track. Not one I listened to too much, but it was definitely a hit when it came on then.
Mm.
My first track is The Rivington by the Free Nationals, featuring Conway the Machine, Westside Gunn, and Joyce Rice. You know, obviously the Free Nationals have had so much success over the years with the Anderson .Paak, but their project they dropped a couple years back was so fire. And this was, you know, definitely one of the first introductions to the Griselda guys I had. And it's just so fire. Westside Gunn just doing some ad libs, doing his rapping over just that smooth production. Beautiful. Go give it a listen.
Good track there. For my next one, this is one I put on today. I had to run to the grocery store real quick, grab some things. Played "Feels Like Summer" by Vince Staples, and you know if you're from the area, from the Midwest, you know it's what like 65. Out,
Something.
starting to feel like summer. It's 60 degrees out. Starting to feel like summer, you know, which some of you guys may think that's very out of pocket, but around here, you know, that's just how it is. So windows down, feels like summer was banging. So
Oh yeah, it was like 40 something the other day, and I went on a run in a hoodie and shorts because I was like, I'm not putting pants back on. It's nice. Like there's once I hit the shorts days, I'm on shorts all the rest of the time until it gets too cold in the fall. So on to my next track, I have "Spin About You" by Dragon 21. One of my favorites from her last. I think it was your favorite when we did like our review of that project. Really good track. I hadn't listened to it in a minute, but came back on the other day and I was like, all right, this is really good.
yeah, I feel like you know it could have been more of a hit than it was, but I feel like we didn't really get like that major hit from their project together. But
Yeah, I think just Rich
um,
Flex really.
yeah, but yeah, I'd still say it holds up as my favorite track from that project. So moving on to my last one here, we have another Drake track. This is the first time I listened to this one in a minute. Like I usually just skip it when it comes on it, but I was like, why have I been skipping this? I guess you know it's obviously a classic. I got Marvin's Room by Drake. Just
So
hit
good.
hard, hit hard the other
It,
night. So.
it really hits. Like it is such a great track. I don't remember how far I got when we did our Drake bracket, but it's a great track. I mean, obviously Drake has a lot of
Yeah,
good songs, but Marvin's Room, classic, timeless.
yeah. Obviously, we don't need to say much about it, of course. So
My last track of the week is Fam Jam 4000 by Jordan Ward. If you haven't heard Jordan Ward yet, go give him a listen. His project that dropped this year is fire. He's opening up on tour for JID and Smino, killing it. Yeah, and this is one of my favorite tracks of the year so far. Definitely, if I had to put money on it, I'll say we'll be talking about it in December. I was starting to think about that. Like, you know, we're a third of the way into the year here. Is there anything that we're talking about in December? And then I think there are in terms of tracks, and this is definitely one
yeah, bit a slower year, but still a lot of year left. So
for sure.
we'll see what happens come December.
Let's move on to the next bracket talk here. It is currently 5:28 p.m. on Sunday Central Time. It has been one day since the championship of our Nickelodeon bracket. If you tuned in last week, you know, but we posted on Instagram as well this week to see who you guys picked. It's 50-50 right now between Drake and Josh and SpongeBob SquarePants. This is crazy. It's really coming down to the wire. I don't think anybody else is going to vote, so I think it's an end of a 50-50 tie, and I don't know what we're going to do there. So we'll have to figure a little runoff election.
I'll have to go make my same point I made in the podcast last week and see where everybody's heads at then. So
yeah, I will say there have been a couple that I really like regretted my picks in our recording. Like picking Rugrats over Jimmy Neutron. In hindsight, that felt wrong, but Rugrats I just loved, and in the heat of the moment, I was like Rugrats, but it's Jimmy Neutron. That should have won. That was tough. And then even in the championship, I think I would have gone Drake and Josh over SpongeBob, and so when I voted, I did.
I mean, it's a tough choice. I feel like there's not a wrong answer for those two,
Mm-mm.
especially. But for Rugrats, like you had sent me a picture after the podcast, and it was your Facebook profile picture from like 13
In
years ago.
2010, yeah.
Yeah, it was Rugrats. So I was like,
There
okay,
was,
that
yeah.
you kind of gotta move that one on.
I was a writer. There was some like trend. I feel like it was probably one of those like super spammy things like, ooh, share this with 5 friends or
Yeah,
else you're gonna see a killer in your dream tonight, whatever. They were going crazy with those. And then I think there was one, it was like, ooh, make it a cartoon picture.
yeah,
And so I was like, Rugrats, that's my writer. So yeah, I had to go with them for that reason. But in hindsight, I was like, yeah, Jimmy Neutron was really that guy. Like they don't
he's
say
really
Himmy
himmy.
Neutron now for no
Yeah,
reason. Like
yeah,
he earned that title. So yeah, that was tough. But if you tuned in last week as well, you know that we're gonna do the rapper ad lib bracket. We have shifted our plans a little bit. It seems that you guys like a lot of these like nostalgia type content pieces. And so to stick with the music theme, stick with the nostalgia theme, we're going with the 2008 hits bracket. These songs are turning 15 years old this year, which is crazy to think about. But I remember so many of these songs so vividly, such like core memories listening to these growing up. So very excited to get in this bracket.
yeah. This one is we brought back some classics here, so I'm super excited to get into it as well. So let's do it.
Let's get it. Let's talk about how we decided the songs are going to be on here. We each picked 8 songs, put them on the bracket. We got 16 songs total. We don't want to go too long. We could have done 64 if we really wanted to, but that would have been a 3-hour episode. I don't
Yeah,
think you guys want to listen to all that. So we got 16 songs, put them in a playlist, shuffle them up, and that's how we got the matchups here. So it's all randomized. Some of my picks against my own picks, some ours against each other, and then some of Elijah's against his own. So totally just randomized here. Let's get into it though. Let's talk about some of the songs in this bracket first. Let's just run through all of them. We got Leavin' by Jesse McCartney, Bleeding Love, Leona Lewis, Chasing Pavements, Adele, Love Story by Taylor Swift, I'm Yours by Jason Mraz, Hot and Cold by Katy Perry, Miss Independent by Neo, Paparazzi by Lady Gaga, American Boy by Estelle and Kanye West, Disturbia by Rihanna, Gives You Hell by All American Rejects, Don't Trust Me by 303, Forever by Chris Brown, Heartless by Kanye West, Viva La Vida by Coldplay, and Whatever You Like by T.I.
God, there's some
So many
fucking
hits here.
yeah.
This is going to be tough.
This is gonna be a good one. I feel like this year is like where I kind of start remembering music or like remembering like that I'm
100%.
liking songs or stuff like that. So like there's just a lot of core memories with a lot of these tracks. So
100% same. Like when I was listening through the Spotify, the like top hits of 2008 playlist to see what songs were even like an option for this, I had just so many core memories listening to these songs. And I was thinking the same thing that like this is like the year where I started to like remember songs
yeah,
and remember things that were happening while I was listening to these songs. So it was fire. Very excited to get into it. Gonna be a tough one. I think this is gonna be one of the ones where we disagree the most potentially. Maybe not. We'll see. But I think there's such like a variety of songs here that it could get interesting. So I'm ready to get into it.
for some of these there's not a wrong answer. So
Mm-mm.
we're just gonna have to fight it out. We'll see what happens.
We will. Let's get into the first matchup here. We got Leavin' by Jesse McCartney.
Why don't you tell him that I'm leaving, never looking back again. You found somebody who does it better than he can. No more making you cry, no more
Versus Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis.
you cut me open and I keep bleeding, keep bleeding love. I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding love.
I got Bleeding Love here. Yeah, this is a very late ad by you. You switched it up and decided to put it on, and I had to go. I gave all these a listen or individual like snippet, and yeah, this moves on easily.
Bleeding Love has aged so well, whereas I think Leavin' has aged horribly. And I don't know necessarily if we're going off like what we're most likely to listen to now, what was the best song then, a mix of the both. I'm kind of thinking a mix of the both, but I
Yeah,
definitely remember this being on the radio, and it's definitely the one I would pick out today. I had to have Leave It on here for one specific reason, and that was because I had like a story about it. Do you remember Tooth Tunes?
I do not. Oh, like the toothbrushes. Yeah,
And they
actually.
played the music. I had
Yeah,
a Tooth Tunes toothbrush, and it was Leavin' by Jesse McCartney as a song. So I was brushing my teeth every day to that track for how many ever months. So that was the sole reason I had to have it on this bracket. Had to give it that love. I loved it then, but it's not very good in hindsight.
Yeah.
All right, so Bleeding Love moves on. Let's go to the next matchup. Chasing Pavements by Adele
Should I give up or should I just keep chasing pavements, even if it leads nowhere? Or would it be a waste, even if I knew my fate? Should I leave it?
versus Love Story by Taylor Swift.
And I said, honey, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting. All there's left to do is run. You'll be the prince and I'll be the princess. It's a love story, baby. Just say yeah.
Love Story is a powerhouse for me here. I love Adele. Adele's done a ton. But Love Story is one where it hit back in the day. And anytime this plays at the bar nowadays, everybody is going crazy singing this. So, I mean, for me, it's Love Story pretty convincingly.
I'm definitely listening to Chasing Pavements more. Chasing Pavements, truly like one of my all-time favorite songs. I love Chasing Pavements. I remember watching VH1 in the morning. They had Adele as like a You Ought to Know artist, and Chasing Pavements was the track that they had the video for showing all the time. I'm sure there was other videos, but that's the one I remember the most. So I'm definitely going Chasing Pavements here. However, I'm fine with going Love Story just because it is the bigger hit. Like it feels more like 2008. I feel like Adele's had way bigger moments. Obviously Taylor Swift has as well, but I feel like there's something like very core, especially to that early Taylor Swift with Love Story. Like I have so many more memories to Love Story, and that's why I'm fine with going with it. Like just being with the homies in the car, like when we were younger and listening to Love Story on the radio, like it was just
It's just
hitting
yeah,
different.
like you said it perfectly there. You know, Adele has different moments that feel bigger than Chasing Pavements, but Taylor Swift, this is like, I'd say one of her biggest moments, arguably.
Yeah, I think she just has so many eras, and there's like
Yeah.
a moment for each era. But Love Story was like the era or the moment for the early Taylor Swift era, in my opinion, at least personally for me. So yeah, let's go Love Story here. Let's get into the next matchup. We got I'm Yours by Jason Mraz
To win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours.
versus Hot and Cold by Katy Perry.
'Cause you're hot, then you're cold, you're yes, then you're no, you're in, then you're out, you're up, then you're down, you're wrong when it's right, it's black and it's white, we fight, we break up, we kiss, we make.
I don't know if you got this feeling with Hot and Cold. Like I like it. Obviously, it did its thing in the past, but I really wasn't vibing with it too much, especially compared to I'm Yours. So I'm gonna move I'm Yours on here, but I'm not mad if you have Hot and Cold going on.
No, I'm Yours here for sure. I loved I'm Yours when I was a kid. Think it's still pretty good now.
Yeah,
Hot
that's
and Cold. I don't think I ever was rocking with that heavy.
I feel like it's just more one of the tracks that which is huge at the time or big at the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, it definitely earned a spot on this bracket, but I just don't see it moving on past the first round.
I'm glad we're in agreement there.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about Katy Perry though. I was watching American Idol, just caught a couple minutes of my mom, and Katy Perry just she feel like she has had so many hits, but I also feel like she's like kind of quiet now.
Yeah, I feel like she's, I wouldn't put her, in the tier with like Taylor Swift or I feel like she's just really weird to gauge, I guess, with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, she was going crazy early on. She had hits, she had Fireworks, she had California Girls, all these hits. Even still into like maybe like 2016, she was having some hits. I feel like she kind of just, I don't want to say she fell off, but I feel like she's been quiet because she's still
When she
doing her
did the
thing.
Super Bowl. She did the Super Bowl. It was
Ooh, I feel like that was earlier. I feel like that
Yeah,
was
let-
like 2014 or 2015.
yeah, that's
even.
what I want to say is like 2015ish. Let's see, 2015. Yeah, we were correct. She had that was the shark. I remember the shark blowing up. So that was
Yep.
kind of this. That was kind of early social media for me because I remember seeing that shark just everywhere. So yeah, but I
Fire.
feel I agree with you. She's been a little bit quiet, but I mean she's done her thing obviously. So
Oh yeah, and she's still like obviously very much in the public eye, but yeah, she's definitely had better songs I think than Hot and Cold. So it's pretty easily I'm Yours here. Let's move on to the next one, Miss Independent by Neo.
She got
versus Paparazzi by Lady Gaga.
'Cause you know that, baby, I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Paparazzi.
Paparazzi is another one that I'll still bang to this day. This one's still on my playlist. Miss Independent by Neo. I feel like I don't listen to it too much anymore, especially when it came on. I was kind of vibing with it, but I gotta go with Paparazzi by Lady Gaga.
I would go Miss Independent here. I loved Neo when I was in like 5th grade. I thought Neo was him. Like he had so many songs that I was bumping. I would pick Miss Independent here.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that moving on.
Okay.
I feel like it was a little bit early for Neo for me. Like Time of Our Lives was really my Neo track, but I'm okay with. I like Miss
Oh.
Independent as well.
Yeah, I was earlier on the Neo stuff, like that You're the Gentleman album. I love that. You got Single, you got Miss Independent, obviously, you got Mad. There's so many good tracks on that project. And there's also so many good projects on the Lady Gaga one. Like picking Paparazzi,
yeah.
very valid choice, but there's so many other ones. Poker Face,
Poker
Just
Face,
Dance. I mean,
yeah.
tough.
It was definitely like a personal preference there with Paparazzi. I feel like I just vibe with that one a little bit more, but I feel like Poker Face or Just Dance may have been the more popular option. So
I think I would have picked either one of those over Miss Independent, but with Paparazzi, I'd go Miss Independent. But I was glad that you picked Paparazzi because it gave me just a blast from the past. This is something that isn't talked about enough, like music video parodies on YouTube in the early 2010s. And that's just something that people don't make anymore. And in hindsight, they were just not funny. But when you were like 12, you were like, this is comedic gold. This is a good song and the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was just all around greatness. And there was one that I remembered, and it was a parody of Paparazzi by Lady Gaga, and it was Poppin' Nazis, because that was like around the time of Call of Duty Zombies and World at War Zombies, and it was like Nazi zombies, especially in that one. So yeah, Poppin' Nazis, and it was just talking all about God, and me being a little nerd, I was all into that.
Yeah. I remember like the epic rap battles of history. That's another like good moment from those times. Did you ever watch like the it was like Talking with Songs or stuff? Like they just do song lyrics every
songs
so
in
often.
real life.
Yes, there we go.
Shout out to Steve Cardinal, the GOAT. Yeah, he was really killing on that. The other one I think of is the Key of Awesome. That channel was going crazy. They posted so many. And there's another guy, his name was like Bart Barker or something like that. Yeah, they were going crazy in the day.
Key of Awesome. That's a moment there.
It is. I was thinking, well, I want to do some video related to those at some point, because those were crazy and probably not good in hindsight, but I think revisiting them would be a great episode. So we'll have to look into that. Let's move on to the other side of the bracket. First round, we got American Boy by Estelle.
Take me on a trip, I'd like to go someday. Take me to New York, I'd love to see LA. I really want to come pick you with you. You'll be my American boy, American boy.
Versus Disturbia by Rihanna.
That's the Fortnite track, right? We got the Fortnite track versus Disturbia.
We do.
I just love the reemergence with that. I can't not think of it. The Fortnite version every time now. But I love Disturbia. Disturbia may be my favorite Rihanna song.
That's crazy.
I remember like this is like a core memory at Maz or at the Second Avenue house. I remember Disturbia, and it was like them when they used to do the music videos on like MTV or stuff like that. I just really remember that, and like what, she's like a zombie or something.
Yeah, she was doing something just like scary at the time. Like I was like, what is happening? I do remember that one though too, for sure. I'd go American Boy here though, like very easily.
I'm okay with American Boy moving on. It's just personal like it's one of those, like it's just like Paparazzi where I just have this personal attachment to it. But I do think American Boy is the more popular choice and maybe the correct one. So
yeah, like anytime American Boy still comes on, I love it. Like it's a song I'm not skipping most times. That's how much I still like give it that respect in 2023 even. So good track there. Let's move on to the next round. We got Gives You Hell by All American Rejects.
Find a man that's worth the damn and treats you well. Then he's a fool, you're just as well.
versus Don't Trust Me by 303.
Tell your boyfriend if he says he's got beef that I'm a vegetarian and I ain't fucking scared of him.
She wants to touch me, woo. She wants to love me, woo. She'll never leave me, woo.
Don't trust her, never trust her. Won't trust her, won't trust me.
Gives You Hell is just such like that's like one of the first tracks I just ever remember like just remember, you know, just fucking with it. And I mean I don't listen to it too often, but when it comes on, it does the same thing every time. So I gotta move it on for that. But Don't Trust Me, it's a good one there as well.
I'm going Gives You Hell here. I think this might be the weakest matchup of the bracket. The Shuffle Gods
Yeah.
put it out that way. Unfortunate that a track like Chasing Pavements had to go up against a powerhouse and Love Story, where it could have gone against one of these that had, you know, a better chance. But yeah, I think Gives You Hell is a good track. It's one, like you said, you listen to all these songs before we recorded. I did the same thing, and Gives You Hell is one that I have not heard in years. But when it came on, it was a blast from the past. So many memories. I remember listening to it at my friend's house on the computer, watching the music video, I think, or either just like listening to it on YouTube. It's a good track. It's definitely not one of my favorites on this bracket, but I'm happy to move on.
Yeah, product of a weak matchup here, but I'm okay with it moving on to the second round.
Yeah, same. Let's go to the next matchup. We got Forever by Chris Brown. Versus Heartless by Kanye West.
In the night, I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road, he lost his soul to a woman so heartless.
This is one we had talked about. We had talked about Heartless. You know, you asked, is it a cheat code? And we were like, should we put it on there? And Heartless, it's just such a great track. I mean, it kind of, it's era accurate as well, because I still remember, you know, being, you know, 96.5 on back in the day in the back of the car listening to this. So I definitely think it deserves to be on there, and I think it's got to move on here as well.
Easily. This is probably one of the first Kanye songs I remember like listening to and liking a lot. This was, you know, when I was watching music videos and stuff, and Love Lockdown and Heartless were like the two videos from 808s I remember. I feel like I probably heard some graduation songs before this in hindsight, but like these are the first ones I remember like, oh, I have to have these on iTunes of Kanye, were the 808 songs. So Heartless is just a hit. It's timeless, truly. Like, it's one of the songs from this bracket that I think has aged the best. The influence of the autotune that Heartless had, I mean, and it's like such an emotional song, you know, paved the way for the Juice WRLDs, the Drake, Sony people. So Heartless, crazy song. Gotta move on here. Forever, though, you know, definitely that's an era accurate song. You were talking about era accurate memories. Forever, I feel like it didn't age that well. It's got a very catchy chorus, though. I will say the beat is kind of catchy, but it's like I wouldn't listen to that.
Yeah.
Now.
Another like I feel like this. You said one of the first Kanye tracks you heard. I feel like this has got to be my first one here. Is Put On with Jeezy. That's probably like 2007, 2008. Would you say?
I think it is 2008. I think it was in the 2008 hits on Spotify playlist, but I was trying to go more pop here. So
yeah, I didn't
put it.
It's more of a rap one, but I remember my mom had that like on a burnt CD, like that. That's just tough track there. So
I had it on my PSP. I remember like on a little memory stick or whatever. So yeah, I was rocking with Put On then for sure. It's funny because we listened to that when we were playing basketball today. So that's just crazy timing on that.
Needs the nod for sure. So
my last comment on this matchup though is Forever. Obviously, it's a very iconic scene in The Office, you know, whatever, at Jim and Pam's wedding. But the thing in like the pop culture that stands out to me with Forever more, this actually just might not even be true, but in my head, there was a Juicy Fruit commercial with Forever played. And I don't know if that's a real thing. I want to look into that. Somebody fact check me on that, but I believe that there was a Forever Juicy Fruit commercial because it was like, you know, like double the fun, whatever, last forever. And I think they were like, oh, that's like our flavor. You double it, you know, whatever. So I'm going to have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure that existed.
That's ironic because Juicy Fruit lasts for 2 seconds, maybe.
Maybe. I have a core memory of eating Juicy Fruit. I guess I'll tell this before we move on.
I got another
Once-
memory to stack upon this as well.
Okay. One time it was snowing and we had a snow day from school, and I was playing outside with my sister and my boy Nate Allison, and we were having like a little snowball fight or something. And I was chewing gum for whatever reason while we were doing this, and I dropped it in the snow, and then I put it back in my mouth and chewed it because I was like 10 years
Bro,
old.
thought he was in a 5 gum commercial.
Yeah. And I swear to God, my throat hurt for like 2 months. Like, I don't know what bacteria was in that snow, like dog piss or something, but it was a wrap for your boy's throat.
Bro, you had COVID or something. You
I know. I think that's where it got
unfroze
created for
something.
real. Yeah.
But last we'll move on right after this. This is like just another core memory, at the 2nd Avenue house here. I remember I used to just swallow my gum, and Lauren told me it's gonna take 7 years to come out one time. And I was like, I was fucking head in my hands, just fucking like, what the fuck? Like, am I gonna
You were
die?
like really contemplating things right there.
And I remembered that, how old I was in whatever, 7, 8 years old. And I remembered like, okay, the gum's coming out of me when I was 14 or 15. So
Oh my God. That's hilarious. I was like so scared of that when I was a kid. Like, there was no way I was gonna swallow gum. I was fighting a trash can like 100% of the time. So
Yeah.
that's hilarious. I love that. Let's go on to the last matchup of the first round. We got Viva La Vida by Coldplay
For some reason I can't explain. Once you've gone, it was never an honest word. That was when I ruled the world.
versus Whatever You Like by T.I.
It's on deck, Patron on ice. And we can pop bottles all night, baby. You can have whatever you like. I said you can have whatever you like.
this matchup is hard.
This
Like,
is easy.
This is very, very hard for me. Whatever You Like used to hit back in the day, like skating rink vibes. It used to just always be on. So I just very partial to it, but it's Viva La Vida here.
It is Viva La Vida. That's just a classic. I'll get more into it as we move on. I have to fight for it, but I love Viva La Vida. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's move on to the second round here. With our first matchup, we got Bleeding Love versus Love Story. Battle of the Love right here.
Yeah. Which track's getting you in your feels or your loving mood more? And for me, that's Love Story. Love Story's got to move on here.
I think it's a tough matchup. I think I would go Bleeding Love.
I vaguely remember. I think you had 2 there in the first round, and I had 1. So Love Story's
pulled
got to
it?
move on. Yeah.
Okay. Love Story. I was wondering if you were going to pull that. Yeah, you pulled for Love Story in the first place. So you're riding for Love Story for sure here.
Yeah.
This is reminiscent of me in the Travis Scott bracket with, I forgot what song, but it was one of those Travis Scott songs I was just riding for that I was like, I'm getting it.
90210, I think. Yeah.
I think it was not 210, or it was like, it might have been even like Astro Thunder, but I think I don't know. It was one of those songs I was just writing for. So yeah, I'm glad you got your song here. Let's get in the next matchup. We got I'm Yours versus Miss Independent.
I like I'm Yours here. But I'm okay with Miss Independent if you want to move that one on as well.
I'm cool going I'm Yours. I will say I feel like this is maybe a weaker quadrant. Looking at it now, like I'm Yours being the final 4, I'm like, oh, does that really belong? But I think you could argue it does. Like, it was a great song then. I feel like it holds up fairly well now. So yeah, I'm cool with I'm Yours.
That was when I played I'm Yours earlier. It wasn't a snippet. I listened to the whole thing. So
Same. And I enjoyed it. So I'm cool with I'm Yours for sure. Let's move on. Next matchup, we got American Boy versus Gives You Hell.
I like Gives You Hell here.
Ooh.
I feel like you're more partial to American Boy. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not vibing with it outside of the Fortnite remix. Not vibing with it that much outside the Fortnite remix. Like, that's one, even during the time, I don't really remember listening to it all that much. So
I remember listening to it. Like, it was actually when I went to in Champaign, they had a preseason NBA game, and it was the Utah Jazz versus the Bulls. I remember going to the game. I remember listening to that song on the way. So
yeah, I feel like,
this.
I was like 7 years old when this happened. You were like a freshman in high school. So
I was 19. No, but the Kanye feature is so good though too.
It is. It's a good track. I'm really not mad at it if you move it on here, but I'd be gives you hell. So
Okay, let's go American Boy here, but that scares me because I don't know how you're gonna feel about this next matchup, but I have strong feelings and I don't want to not have a veto, but I have to have American Boy move on. So let's just see how this next matchup goes. Heartless versus Viva La Vida.
what's your thoughts here? I'll let you go.
My
ahead.
strong feelings are I'm going Viva La Vida here.
I'm okay with that, honestly, just because of the fact of like it just feels like more of a pop song. And just anytime it comes on, I just gotta listen to the whole thing through. Like I can skip Heartless easily, but anytime Viva La Vida comes on, it's just like, okay, this is playing out the whole
So
thing
good.
here. So
It's
it is
really
a very
too good. I remember going to our Uncle Rudy's house a couple years ago to stay the night. It was me and our cousin Sammy, and we met some other people there, but we came from Bloomington together. And I remember I just put on the throwbacks playlist, and Viva La Vida came on like 3 minutes before we got to his house, and I was like, we have to finish this song. Like, I love it. And I was just screaming the lyrics. Like, it's truly one of my favorite songs of all time. It has just a special place. So we'll see, how it fares the next round, but I'm very, very confident in this track moving on. We'll see. Let's get into the final four with the first matchup. We got Love Story versus I'm Yours. And I know where you're at here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm Love Story.
And I'm fine with Love Story here. I would pick Love Story as well.
There you go. You're finally showing it some love. You've just been you've been hating over there in the corner for this whole
it's all about
whole
the
run.
matchups. It's all about the matchups. And yeah, in this matchup, Love Story for sure. Other side, Final Four, American Boy versus Viva La Vida.
This is like a hand-picked Final Four here for you. I got you Viva La Vida here though.
I would go Viva La Vida here as well.
But that hand-picked Final Four, it caught up to you.
It did.
The winner of our bracket is Love Story by Taylor Swift.
I'm fine with that. I can live with that.
Okay, I didn't know if we were gonna have just some really hard pushback here. Or,
no, I 100% would pick Viva La Vida, but I know I've gotten these songs here.
Yeah, you bullied your way to the championship.
Exactly. You did too earlier for a little bit, but I did it later. And, that came back to bite me in the end. But I'm glad I got the tracks I was willing to die for pretty far. And that's all I can ask.
I think my prediction is Love Story is just gonna fucking run through the polls we put up. Love Story is just it's aged well.
It has aged pretty well. Obviously, Taylor's done a lot with her sound since Love Story, but I do think standalone it has aged pretty well.
Anytime this plays at like Joe's or like Red Lion, like everybody is going fucking nuts for this song. So
I've definitely been at some good functions and it comes on and you're like, all right, I see why this is the hit that it is. Yeah, it's a good track. I just am excited to see what the people think. I mean, I think there's some here that they're not going to show that much love to, and that worries me. But I think that these songs are huge. They are hits. They are iconic. So we'll see what happens on the polls. But I do think Love Story is probably going to win. I think I will agree with you there. I could see also Heartless. I think Heartless is going to make a championship versus Love Story. When you got Taylor versus Ye championship, and then we'll see what happens.
This is one I'm very curious to see how the fans think or what they vote. So, I mean, those will be up shortly. I'm pretty excited to get into this. So,
yep, gonna be a good one. So, make sure you go to our Instagram if you're not already following us at Second Avenue Pod. And go vote. Stay tuned all week. We'll get posting these on probably Tuesday through Thursday, Friday, whatever it goes. How many days I can't remember, but yeah, stay tuned. We'll probably start posting around 3:00 on Tuesday. So stay tuned to that. All right, let's move on to the news this week. Kind of slow week news wise, but a very good week for releases. One of the best weeks of the year, no question so far. Let's get into it. First with the projects, we got the long-awaited JPEGMAFIA Danny Brown collab album. We got a new album from Black, Lana Del Rey, Navy Blue, Hit Boy, O3 Greedo, and Big Baby Gucci. Very solid week. What have you had a chance to give a listen to so far?
That JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown, it's very interesting, obviously really creative and everything, but I really enjoyed what I had listened to off the first listen. So
It's so fire. It has, I will say, go out and say this very confidently, the best track list names maybe I've ever seen.
yeah,
Definitely of
And
the
they're-
year. They're out of pocket in the best way. I love
yeah,
it. I mean, you got Fentanyl Tester, you got Perfect, you got Jack Harlow Combo Meal. So many just iconic titles already, just instantly iconic that they just stand out. Step a Pig, obviously you got Scaring the Hose. I mean, it's just fire. I love it. The project, it was really good. It's, I think, probably my favorite of the year so far. I can say that pretty confidently. It's a very good project. I think it's everything you want from JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. I saw a tweet and I took it hit. It said that this collab album is her loss for people that never had a her to lose. And I took that very personally because it hit way too close to home.
yeah, it's a great project. I kind of see the comparison there.
I do.
Step a pig. I love that one.
Step a Pig was fire. I think my favorite is probably Perfect, which I saw somebody say it was family ties for annoying people. This album is definitely going crazy on social media. I feel like this is like rap Twitter. This is the project that we're talking about, and they have made some great comments on it. I loved Kingdom Hearts Key with Red Veil. That was fire. I mean, he's like the only feature on the project, but seeing him, at such a young age, working with these two, so established in that like experimental rap lane, fire to see. Overall, it was a great project. My final tweet I'm going to reference was it was like the nerdy meme, and it was it's a good project, but the mixing is bad or something like that. Which that was my first comment. I think Danny Brown is already kind of hard to understand sometimes, and if the production is loud, it's even more difficult to understand what he's saying. And I thought that was, I don't want to say an issue, but it was hard on the first listen. Then like on the second listen, I was like, okay. And the first listen was on car speakers. So I was like, okay, maybe that's part of the reason too. Because when I listened on headphones, it wasn't as bad as I remembered the first time. So only gave it 2 listens, but very good album.
Yeah, very good project there. I feel like this is just a very solid week to have. So hopefully starts picking up, we start accumulating these weeks here.
For sure. And I mean, I listened a little bit of the Black album, haven't got through that, but that was cool so far. And I want to get to Lana Del Rey and Navy Blue for sure. Let's talk about the singles though. We got IDK featuring Rich the Kid, Red Veil, Juice WRLD, Mike Dimes and Dro Kenji, Larry June the Alchemist with Big Sean, Russ, DC the Don, Montel Fish, and more. Very solid week, like we've been saying, but singles did not disappoint as well. What was your favorite from this group?
I really enjoyed the IDK one. He texted me about the IDK Air Maxes in his video, and those are fire. Had to give it a listen, and just a really solid track there. So I'd say that's what I enjoyed the most. How about you?
Same. I've been listening to it so much the past couple of days. Every time I'm in the car, that's the first song I go to. It's just, I feel it's a great song on the aux so far. Haven't obviously played it with other people yet, so we don't know what the vibe on the aux is in a group setting, but personally, it's definitely one for me on the aux. Yeah, very quiet week besides the releases news-wise. Hasn't really been too much else happening. The biggest news I will say is the Lollapalooza lineup dropped. So I think we should talk about that. And I think that's going to wrap it up. Let's get in the lineup. The headliners are Kendrick Lamar, Billie Eilish, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Odessa.
This is a good lineup for Lala, or like good headliners at least. A lot of variety, of course, like they have every year. I feel like they pretty much got it right with the headliners, though.
Yeah, definitely a lot of variety. I think I would love to see Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I don't care who's on Kendrick's day. That's the day I'm going.
Yeah.
I have to see Kendrick. There's some good people here on the undercard. You got JID, you got Pusha T, Joey Badass, and then some even smaller people, Zach Fox, who kills it. You got some, indie type people with Gene Dawson. Would love to see him. The Sacred Souls, would love to see them. It's going to be a good one. I don't really care who's Kendrick's day. I'm there. I'm just hoping for one of the two between JID and Pusha T. I just saw Pusha T, but I would love to see him again. So I'm hoping for JID just because I haven't seen him. So we'll see.
Yeah, Pusha T is going to be one of the ones, like any chance I get, I'm going to go see him. He was just phenomenal when we saw him individually, but I mean, very close in time. So I'd say a pretty good lineup. I hope they kind of group all the rappers together, trying to get them on one day at least, or all the ones I want to hear at least. Be a little selfish there.
I don't know. My thing is though, I was wondering about, if there are all these rappers, what's like my cutoff time where I'm like, I'm going to Kendrick stage and I'm just dealing with it.
Yeah.
Like if JID is at 6:00, am I gonna go to a different stage to see him? And I think my answer is no. I think I would just go wait for Kendrick.
Yeah, that's always the age-old question at festivals is what am I gonna go see, or like when am I gonna go see it, so
I think my like rule of thumb has always been 2 sets. I'll say 2 sets before the headliner at that main stage, and I'm sitting there because the first time I ever went, I stayed there like the entire day from like 2:00 until 8:00 for Chance, which was that was a grind, but Chance was my guy. I had to. And the second time for the weekend, and then the third time for Tyler the Creator, I went. I feel like I've gotten closer and closer to that start time every year. Like for the weekend, I think I was only like a set or 2 before. And then for Tyler, I showed up like 1 set before. And it worked out every time differently. But Kendrick is one person. I feel like this is probably the only time I'm going to see him because he's, fairly expensive on his own on tour. And so I want to be close, want to have a good spot, want to have a great experience. So we'll see, but I'm doing what I got to do to be close up for Kendrick.
Yeah, it's just it's just all I feel like the biggest factor is who else is performing to like where else do I need to be and when do I need to be there. So set times are eventually coming. So we'll see how you're gonna juggle it out, or potentially both of us are gonna juggle it out. So
stay tuned. A Lolla episode would be fire. I'm sure we'd have some like moments that we could talk about too. So I think for the sake of content, you have to come, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next Monday with a new episode. Peace.